Welcome to Drew's Baseball Crew here on this Friday morning 414 day in Milwaukee. Myself, Drew Skyberg, bringing you your winning lineup on Fantasia Sports. All right, we're going to be talking about MLB DFS today, daily fantasy sports. Top five, I'll be giving some player props, right? Love to post those around as well. So I'll highlight those. All right, again, I'll talk lineups, we'll talk value right away. Give you the starting pitcher report. Thank you again, Baseball Savant, and also Ballpark Pal. They're going to be the sources we're going to utilize today, and we're going to build that winning lineup. That's what's going to happen today. So let's get right into it here on, again, Friday morning. Try to bring it right away as we actually have a pretty favorable slate today in terms of timing and stuff. 5:40, the earliest games. That's awesome. That gives us a lot of time to prep. Things change. We have time to adjust. Can capture some good value in the mornings. Also, the other concept I want to highlight. Yeah, looking at starting pitcher report, I guess, kind of starting with Savant, we'll lead towards Ballpark Ballot a bit. I'm just gonna highlight like those great matchups with a pretty decent sample size. So to start, Taijuan Walker in a career 56 plate appearances against the current Cincinnati Reds roster, XBA of 222, and that actual average is 196. So he's got some good numbers. Exit velo's under 90 for him. Walker's a good matchup, although, right, this is of a longer sample size. Decent matchup for Walker. Otherwise, you see, for example, like guys like Mad Bum, it's 122 plate appearances, but it's hard at this point in Mad Bum's career to really say, to take that or not, unfortunately. Other guys, Trevor Williams has been decent so far this year. A matchup against the Guardians might not be a great one, but also concerned with innings on him. So just wanted to say Williams, depending on price, two pitchers, maybe, but I think we have some better options. Drew Rasmussen has been phenomenal so far this year. It almost feels right again. This raise, everything's going right for the squad. So it's tough because the XPA is 250. Strikeout rate's not actually that great there, so probably not Rasmussen. Also, some inning concerns with him. Tanner Houck against the Angels. This intrigues me because they've worked Houck, as a leverage guy in middle late innings. They've worked him in one inning roles, some closer stuff, but now they got him as a starter today. Puts me in a tough spot. Do you trust Houck today against that Angels lineup? I don't know. Numbers certainly are pretty good in 17 career plate appearances. Strikeout percentage of 41.2. I mean, that's, come on, video game numbers. But again, 17 plate appearances. I'd possibly be fine with Houck tonight. I think it's a pretty favorable matchup on his end. We know what's in that Angels lineup, so be fine with it. Mike Clevinger has looked pretty good so far this year. So looking at Clevinger, XB of 193. The exit velo number is not too great. K percentage 32. I feel looking at Clevinger is probably in the top two for me. Right now it's Clevinger and Taijuan Walker are probably my two favorites. Try to give you two more here. Luis Garcia, decent for the Astros. Don't mind that matchup. Charlie Morton against the Royals. There's a good one. And he has some of the best numbers. XP of 158 and 48 career plate appearances. Love that spot for him. Other than that, not suggesting anyone the Pirates, Cardinals, unfortunately. Kodai Senga against the Athletics is going to be a common one. Senga, of course, having no sample size against any of the players. I would include Senga in my top two or three. And then Padres, Lauer versus Waka. I'm not interested. Then Syndergaard and just Justin Steele. Still not interested, unfortunately. And then we're looking at Austin Gomber, Marco Gonzalez, right? Rockies, Mariners. It's at Seattle. That's where the intrigue comes. I'd be interested in Gonzalez against this Rockies roster outside of Coors. maybe Gomber, but more so Gonzalez. So those are some of my top guys. We'll talk about what Ballpark Pal's telling you right now. Right, some of their matchups they look out. They really, the model that Ballpark Pal employs really likes Michael Wacha today. We're talking like 6 innings, 7 strikeouts. Like, I mean, it's way over the projections you'll see on any if we go to higher or lower for fantasy score on Fantasia, right? I mean, guys like Wacha, you'd certainly take the over on if you're basing off some of the stuff on this model. It's certainly, I think it might adjust a little bit, but I personally, I'm monitoring like strikeout props, right? If you're doing that, well, this tells you you're getting some good value on Wacha, but not so much on other guys as, right, there's only 2 people above 6 strikeouts, right? It's Morton and Wacha at 7. So it's kind of interesting to see how that is, but there's some guys who have, some decent strikeout numbers, but a lot of guys around that 5 range, right? I mean, the guy ends up averaging out around 5. So it's kind of tough to tell, but it also like sims the game, right, thousands of times is how this works. So, right, I mean, so Michael Wacha, Kodai Senga, and Luis Garcia are the top 3 pitchers in terms of win probability. So, like, when you look at that, that's like more of a fantasy score thing, right? If you're looking at like pitchers, okay, you want to have someone who has pretty good like win probability to get a win. Kind of more throw that in there. You can also do like outs, hits allowed. It's pretty tough to predict. You're looking at, just depends on like some of the value you get, right? Where you're making the plays, but kind of the starting pitcher report, I guess to sum it up, is guys like Charlie Morton are going to be pretty safe plays. If you're feeling like a little bit risky, right, like Marco Gonzalez, I'd be fine with. Again, Taijuan Walker is another one. Michael Wacha, again, is one that many are taking, or Ballpark Pals taking as a pretty good play. Kodai Senga, Tanner Houck. Those are like the ones I'd mention. Houck, the concern is how many innings he's going to go. Ballpark Pal has him going for around 4 innings. So you don't like those odds, is if that's the case. So that's where it'd be like maybe not. But again, like guys like Senga, you like him for going at least 5 or 6 innings. You really, any of the stars you hope for 5 or 6 innings out of that. But let's go. Let's talk some matchups today. Let's talk about who's getting the top matchups, who's getting the boosts. So let me get that back going for you again. No cord slate today, so it actually helps us out. Other than remember last week had the cord slate right away. Martin Maldonado for his career off Martin Perez. Ready for this one? 10 for 21. Ends up being an OPS over 1100. Pretty favorable matchup. Dansby Swanson of the Cubs against Noah Syndergaard. 8 for 20. I mean, we're talking these are pretty reasonable sample sizes. Kyle Tucker off Martin Perez, 7 for 16. I like my odds there. Mike Moustakas off Marco Gonzalez, 6 for 11. Right. We'll take that value any day. Here's one for you. Nelson Cruz off of Eric Lauer, 5 for 8 with a home run. And then Juan Soto is 5 for 13 with 2 home runs off of Lauer. I'm really worried for Lauer today. We're hoping Jesse Winker is back with the Brewers. He was dealing with some illness. I think it was like flu-like symptoms, they said. But anyways, 5 for 15 off of Wacha for his career. Decent, right? I mean, the sample size not as great, but we'll take 15 at bats. Justin Turner has some good numbers off of Patrick Sandoval in 13 plate appearances for his career. So we'd love to see that. Otherwise, it's like Bo Bichette, we're not on today. 3 for 17 for his career off of Drew Rasmussen, and that's with 4 strikeouts as well. Yordan Alvarez is actually 3 for 14, 2 singles, no home runs, 3 strikeouts off Martin Perez. So some of the stars to avoid today. Johan Oviedo for the Pirates with Paul Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt has some good numbers off him for his career. Also, Devers off Patrick Sandoval, good numbers. Yeah, a lot of the Cardinals have some good numbers off Oviedo today, so keep that in mind when I say the Cardinals. I'm talking like Edmund, Arenado, Goldschmidt, like the three who have the best numbers. So might be a good day for a Cardinals stack, honestly. We'll talk more in matchups here, base because again, Ballpark Pal does a great thing where they'll put into account the weather, right? My matchups when I just read you who does great, that's great, right? That tells us kind of who's been seeing who better, and right when we compare starters, it's really good for right at bats. Thinking about how many at bats they're gonna. That's where Ballpark Pal comes in. They do us a nice favor here, and we can kind of compare what's going on right with the weather report. So we're looking at what stadiums. I mean, it's really park factors, but we're looking at what stadiums are going to produce more runs today. And it looks like right away, right, Cincinnati's very favorable today for home runs, especially. And like percent change in runs is really like the stat plus 7%, Kaufman's plus 3%. But then we're looking all the way down. T-Mobile's minus 21%, Busch Stadium's minus 19% based on wind, rain, precipitation, whatnot. Petco Park's not favorable today. So like adding this into the equation in terms of for hitting fantasy score, it's pretty powerful. Because the issue we have sometimes is, all right, you take hitter fantasy score under. What happens is it might go well, right? Let's say the player gets 2 at bats against the starter, right? They bring in a reliever. We didn't account for how this guy does against the reliever. What if he hits a home run? Boom, your fantasy score prop, it's done. So just kind of using another factor to try to prevent having issues like that. Let's go through those matchups now. So some guys I did not mention who the Ballpark Pal model really likes today. Right? I mean, we're looking at that. It's that Cincinnati Philly game, and also that Washington Guardian game. So like Jeter Downs for Washington, they like his spot today. And again, I can get you right, just kind of projecting the lineup out for that. We're looking at that Washington. It was Washington Guardians. Sorry, we're looking at if Jeter Downs is playing. I don't even know if he'll be in the lineup. That's the issue sometimes with modeling too. But if he is in the lineup, it's a guy who the model really prefers today. And sometimes there's guys who you just got to monitor, see like where they are in the lineup, what's going on. But like guys like JT Realmuto, really favorable today in terms of matchup. We're looking at like here's another catcher, right? Mike Zunino off Trevor Williams based on weather as well. Then that Philadelphia Cincinnati game, the model really likes Bryson Stott, Nicholas Castellanos. Like those are some guys who we know are going to be in the lineup. Probably going to get some decent value too. I mean, like Stott right now is batting leadoff, which is cool to see, right? So I like Stott in that spot. Over under for that game's 10 runs also. So Vegas understands the weather is going to be pretty favorable there as well. And then Castellanos also DHing. So like that 1-4 spot. A Philly stack would not be terrible today. Haven't mentioned that. But like I'm thinking like Stott, Castellanos, Realmuto. Thinking there's a stack right there. I mentioned the Cardinals stack. Cardinals stack is pretty expensive. If you're not taking Mike Clevenger, Gunnar Henderson's is a top Oriole in terms of probability change due to right conditions, matchups. So you like to see that. Also, Sean Murphy's thrown in there with Atlanta off Brady Singer. Love to see that. Jake Cave also for the Phillies, so like that 9 spot. Now we have the power of NL this year, which I haven't really talked about a lot in DFS. The stack becomes a lot more favorable with those bottom hitters. It was tough to do an 8-1-2 stack, right? I mean, the pitcher out, there's an out right there. So now with the DH, now we have power with these NL guys, right, to make some sort of stack where we can treat the lineup as like just this rolling continuous lineup, as we know it is. But the pitcher, it was like almost like there's this discontinuous bump at the 9 spot. So it's been nice so far this year, at least. If you want to buy into Tampa Bay, Harold Ramirez is your guy off Trevor Williams. So also Andres Jimenez. Or Harold Ramirez off Jose Barrios, sorry. I meant Andres Jimenez against Trevor Williams Also some favorable spot numbers there. So I've given like a pretty wide range. I need to give you guys a first baseman though. So I've talked about, right, you could take Goldschmidt there, but I feel like we have some better spots on that. I was looking like, because some of these catchers, right, like Zunino, you could possibly get there. Tyler Stevenson, though, if you can get him, he has some first base eligibility sometimes. I know he's catching today, but those are some of the guys I'm looking at. Should talk about Shohei Ohtani's runs created percent change is massive today off Tanner Houck. So that was kind of one of the last ones I'll throw there. But I guess to kind of just like sum up some of the matchups we talked about. We talked about that Philadelphia stack, Bryson Stott, Realmuto, even a Jake Cave in there if you want to throw him in there. Why not the 9 spot? Or expected 9 spot could actually be a good benefit. And then also, right, I mean, a guy who I haven't really mentioned, Matt Vierling, leadoff hitter for the Tigers today against Sean Manaea. Pretty decent spot. And then, right, we only mentioned a couple Rays. I mentioned Harold Ramirez. And then I said Washington, check out the lineup last minute. If you can get Jeter Downs in there, I think you could go for it. Angels, Shohei Ohtani we mentioned, Justin Turner. So both DHs probably on both sides. Also Rafael Devers, if you can get good value on him. Nobody really from the Orioles other than Gunnar Henderson. No, and nobody from the White Sox. We talked Sean Murphy for Atlanta potentially. And then with Houston, Texas, we talked those Houston guys who have some great numbers. Kyle Tucker, right? Bregman was in there. Martin Maldonado was in there. So those are some ones I'd keep in mind. With the Pirates, not much going on. The Cardinals, it was Edmund, so it was like Edmund, then like Goldschmidt maybe, and Arenado, pending how you're feeling on that. And also, we had like Colorado, Seattle. We had some guys thrown in there. But again, keep in mind, like, weather conditions weren't that favorable, but it's, again, a dome, so not sure. Not sure if I'm really buying into that one. Wouldn't be too worried on that. Padres have some great numbers off Lauer, right? It was Soto. Soto's got some great numbers, has some home runs thrown in there. Nelson Cruz, I'd be shocked if they didn't have him in the lineup today at DH with his career numbers off him, so I'd keep that in mind. Otherwise, those are the main ones. If you have any questions on some anyone's, just feel free at Drew Sports Crew. Definitely I'll be posting my lineup, the projections, what I'm rolling with today. Also, again, want to thank Point Brewery for sponsoring today's video. Thank you, Point Brewery. We got the root beer. We're going to enjoy some sports today as well. So why not with some all-natural diet root beer, right? 0 sugar, all-natural root beer flavors. And again, with a nice hint of vanilla. So gotta love that. But anyways, right, this will be up at True Sports Crew on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, True Sports Crew, Instagram again at True Sports Crew as well. Make sure to follow on there. And yeah, good luck to everyone today. Have a great weekend. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.